When I was about 14 and a half, my father bought a car for my sister and myself to share. It was a £100 car. I paid my £50 share and she never paid hers, so I finished up owning the car. That gave me an interest right from the word go in cars, and specifically that particular make and model. Basically since then, right throughout, I've just about always had an Austin 7. The Austin 7 that I've got at the moment is quite a rare car. It's an Austin 7 1937 4-seat tourer, which is a convertible car. It was a car that has a history. It was brought into New Zealand in 1939 to take place in the Great Wellington exhibition of 1940. But in actual fact, the car was made in February 1937, so it spent basically 2 years going around England as a show car in the vehicle displays of the dealers. So when it came to New Zealand, it was purported to be their latest model, which in actual fact was not true. But because in New Zealand at the time, the correspondence was so slow that nobody really knew what was going on over in England, so it was just deemed to be the latest thing. That was shown at the Great Wellington exhibition of 1939, 1940, and it was sold from there and was taken to Timaru, and it spent virtually all its life in Timaru until I bought it in about 1979. The car was in very poor condition. It had been sitting for many, many years in a barn, completely derelict. And that's the way that I bought it, except the fact that everything was with the car. It had its original tools and it was complete, but in extremely poor condition. Well, I do have a photograph of what the car was like when I bought it. And I brought it home and proceeded to strip it down, and it was probably roughly about a 2-year restoration with other things that were going on at the same time. Well, once it was restored, we've used it regularly on various vintage car runs. We've been right down to the bottom of the South Island in it, which from here is a long way. It's probably about 1,500 kilometres, I suppose, to the bottom. Well, they're not really vintage cars, are they? I mean, they're my age. I had them, they might have been relatively new cars right from the word go, but now that everybody moves on and gets a bit older, yes, the cars are termed to be vintage. Oh, it's the thrill of driving them. They're a lot more difficult to drive. The strong arm steering, there's no power steering. There's no heater. It's back to basics. Today, when you want to turn to the right, you put your hand out the window and nobody else knows what it means. It's certainly a thrill to drive an old car, and it's certainly getting harder to drive them on the road today with the speed that other cars are doing. But as long as you keep looking in the rear vision mirror, it works out okay. Yes, it's a fun car to drive, and one of the things that we do notice is that when you're actually driving, everybody waves at you. And I think that probably in an older generation, everybody seems to have owned an Austin 7 at some stage. And of course it brings back memories to everybody. So from that point of view, it's great. You park somewhere, and within moments somebody comes up and starts talking to you about it, that I used to have one of these, and tells you all about what about the one that they actually owned. So it's a lot of fun to drive, a lot of fun to have. So I don't know.